The night was cold. The moonlight touched the surface of the river like silver fire. A strange quiet filled the valley. No birds, no wind, just the sound of slow-moving water. On the rocky path near the riverbank, a small group of people walked quickly, whispering to each other. They carried something covered in a dark blanket. The oldest man among them looked nervous. His hands shook and his eyes kept moving around the trees as if he was afraid someone was watching. Under the blanket was a woman, but she was not like any woman from Earth. Her skin glowed faintly, soft blue light like deep ocean waves. Her hair was silver white and floated slightly even though there was no wind. Her eyes were closed, her body still. She could not move. She was paralyzed. Her name was Elara. She came from a distant planet called Vorin, far beyond human reach. Her family once lived in peace on Earth, hiding from humans who feared them. But now something had gone wrong, terribly wrong. The man holding the blanket, her own brother, looked down at her glowing face and whispered, "Forgive us. Sister, we cannot protect you anymore." He turned toward the river. One of the others, a woman, spoke softly. "She's weak. She can't even speak. Maybe humans won't find her body." Her words were cold, no emotion. The brother hesitated for a moment. He remembered when Elara used to laugh when her voice was filled with music. But now fear had taken everything. The human military had discovered traces of alien DNA in their area. If they found Elara, they would destroy their entire family. So her family decided to do the unthinkable. Without another word, they lifted her to the edge of the river. The water shimmered under the moonlight, silent, waiting, then they let go. Elara's body slipped into the cold river. The blanket sank slowly, the light of her skin fading beneath the surface. For a second, her eyes opened. She saw the faces of her family, the ones she loved most, watching her disappear. No sound came from her lips. No cry, just silence. The river carried her away, deep into the darkness. Hours passed. The village nearby slept in peace, unaware of what had just happened upstream. But one man was awake. Ethan Cole, a quiet human living alone near the old bridge, couldn't sleep that night. He was an ex-soldier, tired of war and noise, trying to live a simple life by the riverside. But tonight something strange disturbed him. He heard a faint hum, not from machines, not from animals, something otherworldly. He walked outside, flashlight in hand. The sound came from the river. He followed it slowly, the cold air biting his skin. When he reached the riverbank, he saw it, a soft blue glow moving with the current. At first he thought it was a reflection. But then he saw her, a woman floating lifelessly in the water, her silver hair spreading like a halo around her. "God," he whispered and ran forward. Without thinking, Ethan jumped into the freezing water. The current was strong, but he fought against it, his boots slipping on the rocks below. He grabbed her arm. It felt cold, almost metallic. But when his hand touched her skin, a pulse of light passed through the water like electricity. He pulled her to the shore and laid her down. Her body was still, her eyes closed. For a moment he thought she was dead. Then he saw her fingers twitch, just a little. "She's alive," he breathed, half in shock, half in disbelief. Ethan looked closely. She didn't look human. Her ears were narrow and long, her skin shimmered faintly. He stepped back, his heart pounding. "What? Are you?" he whispered. Suddenly her eyes opened. They were bright, like two stars in the dark, and full of pain. Ethan froze. Elara tried to speak, but no sound came. Only a single tear rolled down her cheek, glowing blue under the moonlight. Ethan didn't know what to do. He looked around. No one was there. The forest was silent again. He took off his jacket and covered her trembling body. "Don't worry," he said softly. "I'll help you, whoever you are." But deep inside he felt something was wrong, something bigger than what he could understand. He didn't know that saving this woman would change his life forever. He didn't know she was not from this world. As the moon hid behind the clouds, the forest became quiet again. Only the sound of the river remained, the same river that tried to take her away, and the same river that brought her to him. The sky began to turn gray. Dawn was near. The mist from the river crawled across the ground like ghosts. Ethan sat beside the strange woman he had pulled from the river. Her skin was still glowing faintly, the light pulsing slowly like a heartbeat. He wrapped her in a blanket and tried to make a small fire, but the matches wouldn't catch in the damp air. He looked at her again. Her silver hair stuck to her pale face, her breathing slow but steady. She looked fragile, almost broken. "Who are you?" he whispered again. "And why were you in the river?" She didn't answer. Her eyes flickered open for a moment, looking straight into his. Those eyes, so bright, so different, carried a sadness he couldn't explain. Then a whisper. Barely a sound. "Don't let them find me." Ethan froze. Her voice was soft, but the fear in it was real. "Who?" he asked, but she had already drifted back into unconsciousness. He sighed and stood up, rubbing his hands together for warmth. Something told him this was no normal situation. He had seen many strange things in war, but never anything like her. As the first light of morning touched the trees, Ethan carried her to his cabin, a small wooden house near the old bridge. Inside it was quiet, filled with the smell of old books and wood smoke. He laid her gently on the bed. When sunlight hit her skin, her glow faded a little, as if she was hiding it. Ethan pulled a blanket over her and sat down on a chair. He didn't know what to do next. Should he call the police, a doctor? But something deep inside told him not to. He felt like if he told anyone, something terrible would happen. Not just to her, but to him too. He made a cup of coffee and kept watching her. Hours passed. Then suddenly she moved. Her fingers twitched again, her eyes opened wider this time. "Where am I?" she asked softly. "You're safe," Ethan said, trying to sound calm. "You were in the river. I pulled you out." She tried to sit up but gasped in pain. Her body was weak, shaking. Ethan helped her lean against the wall. "Thank you," she whispered. "You shouldn't have saved me." He frowned. "What does that mean?" Her eyes filled with tears, glowing blue tears that rolled down her cheeks and vanished before they hit the bed. "They will come," she said. "They will find me, and when they do, you'll be in danger too." Ethan shook his head. "Who's coming? Are you in trouble with someone?" She closed her eyes for a moment, breathing slowly. "My family," she said finally. "They threw me into the river." Ethan stepped back, shocked. "Your family? Why would they do that?" She looked down, ashamed. "Because I am not like them anymore." Her words made no sense to him. Ethan knelt beside her. "Listen, I don't care who you are or what you did. You're hurt. I'll help you get better first, and then we can figure everything else out." She looked at him with a strange expression, half hope, half disbelief. "You don't understand, human," she said softly. "Helping me will change your life forever." Ethan smiled weakly. "It already has." Outside, the sound of engines echoed faintly in the distance. Ethan didn't notice it yet, but Alara did. Her body stiffened. Her glowing eyes widened in fear. "They've found me," she whispered. Ethan turned toward the window. He saw dust rising from the road, 2 black vehicles coming fast. "No markings, military style. Who are they?" he asked quickly. "They are looking for me. For my kind," she said, her voice trembling. "They will take me back, or kill me." Ethan's heart started to race. He didn't understand much, but one thing was clear. Whoever these people were, they were dangerous. He ran to the door and locked it. "Stay down," he said. "Don't make a sound." He grabbed his old rifle from the corner, the one he promised never to use again after the war. But this time it wasn't about fighting soldiers. It was about protecting someone who couldn't protect herself. The vehicles stopped outside. Doors opened. Heavy boots hit the ground. Ethan looked out through the curtain. 4 men in black uniforms, helmets, and dark visors were scanning the area, with strange devices that beeped softly. One of them said, "Signal strong here." "She's close." Alara gasped, clutching her chest. Her skin glowed brighter now, like her body was reacting to their presence. Ethan turned back. "What do they want from you?" "They want my heart," she said weakly. "It holds the power of my people." Before he could say anything, the soldiers kicked open the door. Ethan pointed his rifle at them. "Stay back," he shouted. The men aimed their weapons. "Step away from the subject," one said coldly. Ethan's finger tightened on the trigger. He didn't know what he was doing, but one thing was clear. He wouldn't let them take her. Behind him, Alara whispered something in her strange alien tongue. The air shimmered. The lights flickered, and then everything went white. When the light faded, everything was silent. The soldiers who had broken into the cabin were lying unconscious on the floor. Their weapons smoked as if they had been struck by lightning. The wooden walls were scorched and the air smelled like burning metal. Ethan blinked, struggling to see. His ears rang. What happened? He whispered. Then he turned and saw Elara. She was standing now, no longer weak, no longer helpless. Her eyes glowed brighter than before, and tiny sparks of blue light floated around her body. Her long hair lifted slightly as if touched by invisible wind. "I didn't mean to," she said in a trembling voice. "It just happened." Ethan looked at the fallen soldiers, then back at her. "You did this?" She nodded slowly. "It's my defense energy. My body reacts when I'm in danger, but it's unstable now. I can't control it anymore." Ethan took a careful step closer. "Then we need to get out of here before more of them come." Elara's eyes softened. "You should leave me. You're not part of this." He shook his head firmly. "Too late for that. Come on." Outside, the early morning sun shone through the mist. The black vehicles were still there, engines running, radios crackling. Ethan helped Elara into one of them. The keys were still in the ignition. "Can you drive?" she asked. Ethan smirked. "Better than they can." He started the engine and drove off the dirt road. The tires spun in the mud, spraying dust behind them. Elara looked out the window, her face pale. "They'll follow us," she said quietly. "Then we'll make it hard for them," Ethan replied. He took a sharp turn onto an old forest trail that led deep into the mountains. Branches scratched the windows and the car bounced over rocks, but he didn't slow down. Behind them, another engine roared to life. The soldiers were awake and angry. Bullets ripped through the air, shattering the back window. Elara screamed. Ethan ducked low and pressed the pedal to the floor. "Hold on," he shouted. The forest became a blur of green and shadow. A river glistened to their left, the same one that had almost taken her life. Elara closed her eyes. Her hands began to glow again. Ethan saw the light and yelled, "Don't do that! You'll hurt yourself!" But she didn't stop. The glow grew stronger, and suddenly the air around the car shimmered. For a second, everything froze. Bullets stopped midair. The world turned silent. Then the light burst outward. The chasing vehicle flipped over as if hit by an invisible wave. Trees bent and the sound of energy crackled through the forest. When it was over, Elara collapsed in the seat, breathing heavily. Ethan looked at her, terrified and amazed. "You stopped time?" She shook her head weakly. "No, I bent it. Just a little." He didn't know what that meant, but he knew one thing. She wasn't just an alien. She was something far more powerful. After hours of driving, they reached an abandoned mining town high in the hills. Rusted signs, broken houses, silence. Ethan parked the car beside an old warehouse and helped her inside. "You need rest," he said, placing her on a dusty couch. "I need to leave Earth," she whispered. "If I stay, they will destroy everything to find me." Ethan frowned. "Who are they?" "The soldiers?" She looked up, her glowing eyes filled with sadness. "No, the humans you saw are just hunters. My real enemies are my own people." Ethan's heart sank. "Your family?" She nodded slowly. "They betrayed me because I refused to follow the law of Vorin. Our people hide among humans, feeding from their emotions, their fear, their anger. But I wanted peace. I wanted to live like them. So they tried to kill you?" "Yes, my brother led them. He said I was weak, that mercy makes us vulnerable. So they decided to erase me." Ethan clenched his fists. "Monsters." Elara smiled faintly. "Not monsters. Just afraid. Fear makes even good hearts cruel." She leaned back, exhausted. "You saved me from the river, Ethan. You could have walked away." "Why didn't you?" He looked out the broken window. "Because once someone saved me too, and I didn't deserve it either." Their eyes met, human and alien, both broken by their pasts, both hiding from the same darkness. Outside, far below the mountains, a satellite turned its lens toward the abandoned town. A red light blinked. A voice on a distant radio said, "Target reacquired. Prepare for extraction." Back inside, Elara's glowing eyes suddenly opened wide. "They found us," she whispered. Ethan loaded his rifle again. "Then we make them regret it." Elara stood slowly, her energy building, her light brighter than before. For the first time, she didn't look like a victim. She looked like a warrior, and the sky above them began to hum. Thunder rolled over the mountains. The sound wasn't from a storm. It was from something else, something above the clouds. Ethan stepped outside the old warehouse, his rifle tight in his hands. The wind had turned strange, heavy, humming like a heartbeat. The air itself seemed alive. He looked up and saw it. A massive shape moved behind the clouds, dark and silent. Blue lights blinked across its surface like a giant living machine. It wasn't a plane. It was too smooth, too quiet. It was a ship from another world. Inside the warehouse, Elara opened her eyes. She could feel the presence before she even saw it. Her energy pulsed in fear. "They are here," she said quietly. Ethan turned back, breath fogging in the cold air. "Who's here?" "My people," she whispered. "The Voran fleet," Ethan frowned. "Your family?" Her face darkened. "No, the hunters of the core, the ones who erased traitors." The ship's lights spread across the sky, scanning the ground with a faint blue beam. Every rock and shadow glowed as it passed. "They'll find us any minute," Ethan said. "We need to move," Elara shook her head. "No, if we run, they'll destroy everything in their path. The only way to survive is to hide where they can't see. And where's that?" "In the dark." Ethan didn't understand what she meant until the lights in the warehouse flickered. The world seemed to twist slightly, colors bending like liquid. Elara raised her trembling hands, whispering in her language, soft, haunting words that made the air ripple. Then everything went black. Ethan gasped. The world around him had disappeared. The warehouse was gone. The noise of the ship vanished. They stood in an endless shadow. No sky, no ground, just darkness that felt alive. "Where are we?" he asked. Elara's voice echoed softly. "Between seconds. Between breaths. A space humans can't touch." He turned around but couldn't see his own hands. "This isn't real." "It is," she said. "But not for long. I can only hold this space for a short time. It takes too much of my power." Her voice grew weaker. Ethan reached out, found her hand, and held it. "Then rest. We'll think of something." She smiled sadly in the dark. "You don't understand, Ethan. My body is failing. The river, the cold, it damaged the core inside me. Soon I'll fade." "No," he said firmly. "I didn't pull you out of that river just to lose you now." The darkness around them began to shake. Cracks of blue light split the air. Elara gasped, falling to her knees. "They're breaking through," she said. "They've tracked my energy." Ethan knelt beside her. "Then let's fight. Tell me what to do." Her glowing eyes lifted to meet his. "You can't fight them with bullets. They don't die like humans do." "Then how?" Elara placed her hand on his chest. A soft blue light spread from her palm, sinking into his skin. Ethan felt warmth flood through his body, strange and alive. "What are you doing?" he asked. "I'm sharing my energy," she said softly. "If I fall, you'll carry the last light of Voran." Ethan shook his head. "No, I don't want your power." "You already took it," she whispered. "When you saved me." Suddenly, the dark world shattered. Light burst all around them. They were back in the warehouse, but it was no longer empty. Figures stood outside, tall, glowing beings in silver armor, their faces hidden by mirrored masks. They didn't walk. They floated slightly above the ground. Each carried a weapon that pulsed with blue light. One stepped forward. His voice was calm, cold, and full of authority. "Elara of the Voran, you were warned. The law forbids your kind from merging with human life. You have betrayed the core." Elara struggled to stand. "I chose peace. Peace is weakness," the leader said. "You will return with us, or be erased." Ethan raised his rifle. "She's not going anywhere." The alien turned toward him slowly. "You're not part of this world, human. Stand aside." Ethan's finger hovered on the trigger. "Maybe not, but she's part of mine now." The alien's mask glowed brighter. "Then you'll share her fate." Before he could fire, Elara stepped forward, her voice echoing across the valley. "No, you want me? Take me, but spare him." The leader paused. "The human is already marked. His life is tied to yours. If you die, he dies too." Ethan's eyes widened. "What?" Elara's voice broke. "I gave you my core light." "You are connected now." The alien raised his hand, and the ship above began to open, a circle of blue fire widening in the sky like an eye. The air vibrated and the ground trembled. Ethan grabbed her hand. "We run, now." Elara nodded weakly. Together they ran through the shattered town as beams of light fell from the sky, burning everything in their path. Behind them, the alien voice echoed like thunder. "You cannot escape the sky." But Ethan didn't stop. because for the first time he wasn't just saving her. He was saving both their worlds. The mountain air was thin and cold. Ethan and Alara moved through the misty forest, their breaths turning white in the freezing wind. Behind them, the night sky still glowed faintly blue where the alien ship had passed, like a scar across the stars. They didn't speak for a long time. Both were exhausted. The only sounds were their footsteps and the distant cry of crows. Finally, Ethan stopped. "We can rest here," he said, pointing to a small cave hidden behind tall rocks. Alara nodded weakly. Her legs trembled. Her glow had faded again, her skin pale as moonlight. He helped her inside and lit a small fire with the few dry sticks he found. She sat close to the flames, her hands shaking. For a moment, she looked almost human, tired, scared, and fragile. Ethan watched her quietly. "You haven't said a word since we left the town." She looked up, eyes shining softly. "Because every word hurts. My world, my people, are gone to me now," he frowned. "Gone?" Alara nodded slowly. "When I left Vorin, I erased my connection to the core network. It's how our kind share thoughts and memories. Without it, I'm alone." Cut off, Ethan sat beside her. "Maybe being alone isn't always bad." She gave a sad smile. "That's what I told myself when I came to Earth. I thought I could live quietly among humans. But the core sees that as betrayal." The firelight reflected in her eyes, turning them golden for a moment. "Do you know what I remember the most about Vorin?" He shook his head. "The sky," she said softly. "It wasn't like yours. It had 3 suns, red, gold, and white. The air shimmered like glass. We didn't walk. We drifted. The air carried us," she closed her eyes. "But it wasn't a free world. Every child was born with a mark that connected them to the core. It decided our purpose, our emotions, even our deaths." Ethan listened quietly. The crackle of the fire filled the silence. "So you ran away from it," he said finally. "Yes, I escaped through a collapsing worm gate, but the radiation from it damaged me, paralyzed me. That's why I couldn't move when you found me in the river." Ethan sighed. "And now they want you dead because you chose your own life." She looked at him sadly. "The core believes that one spark of rebellion can burn an entire galaxy." Outside, the wind began to howl. Snowflakes started falling softly, glowing faintly blue under the moonlight. Ethan threw more wood on the fire. "Sleep," he said gently. "You need it." Alara hesitated. "Ethan, yes? When you touched me, when I gave you my core light. Did you feel anything?" He thought for a moment. "It was like warmth, but deeper. Like my heart woke up after years of silence." Alara smiled faintly. "That's because our energy's linked. You carry a piece of me now. That's why they called you marked." He touched his chest unconsciously. "What happens if they find us?" Her eyes turned serious. "They will not only kill me, they'll extract my light, and yours too. Together our bond makes a stronger signal. They can sense it." Ethan looked at the cave entrance, his jaw tight. "Then we'll just have to keep running." Hours later, when Alara finally slept, Ethan stayed awake, staring at the fire. He could still feel that strange warmth inside him, pulsing in rhythm with her breathing. It scared him, but it also felt right. Then he noticed something strange. The fire began to flicker blue. He turned quickly. The air behind Alara shimmered, and a faint hologram appeared, floating above the ground. It showed a tall figure cloaked in silver, his face shadowed. A deep echoing voice filled the cave. "Alara of Vorin, you cannot hide from the core. Your light belongs to us." Ethan grabbed his rifle and aimed at the projection. "Who are you?" The figure ignored him. "The human who carries her mark? Will soon burn with her." The hologram vanished. The fire dimmed. Alara woke suddenly, gasping for breath. "He found us. Who was that?" Ethan asked quickly. "My brother," she whispered. "The one who threw me into the river." Ethan's eyes widened. "He's hunting you himself?" She nodded slowly, tears glowing on her cheeks. "He's the core enforcer now. He won't stop until I'm dead." Ethan stood, determination in his eyes. "Then we don't wait for him to find us. We find him first." Alara looked up at him, shocked. "You can't fight him, Ethan. He's not just my brother. He's connected to the core itself. He can see through the eyes of machines, even through time." Ethan reloaded his rifle and gave her a small, fearless smile. "Then he'll see this coming." Alara stared at him for a moment, her heart trembling between fear and something new, hope. because for the first time she realized that maybe humans weren't weak. Maybe they were exactly what her dying world had lost long ago: courage. Outside, the snowstorm grew stronger, covering their footprints. But far above the clouds, a ship watched silently, its scanners locked on the mountain, and deep inside, a voice whispered in alien code. Target locked. Prepare for assimilation. The snowstorm raged through the mountains. Wind howled like a living creature, and the cave's entrance filled with swirling white light. Ethan tightened his grip on the rifle, his eyes scanning the dark. Elara sat quietly beside the fire, her hands glowing faintly as she tried to heal the cracks in her energy field. Her breathing was shallow. The link between her and Ethan pulsed stronger now. Every time she weakened, he felt it too, like his own strength was being pulled away. Suddenly, the fire dimmed. The air grew heavy, and then everything stopped. No wind, no sound. Even the snowflakes outside froze in midair. Ethan looked around, terrified. What's happening? Elara's face went pale. He's here. A figure appeared at the cave entrance, tall, cloaked in silver armor that shimmered like liquid metal. His eyes burned with the same blue light as Elara's, but colder. Sharper, little sister, he said, his voice deep and calm, echoing like thunder underwater. You always loved running. Elara struggled to stand. Kyle, she whispered. He smiled faintly. You still remember my name? I thought you had erased everything. Ethan stepped forward. Stay where you are. Kyle's eyes flicked to him, curious. I, the human who carries her spark. How strange. She shared her light with you, a mortal. Ethan raised his weapon. You touch her and I'll... Before he could finish, the rifle twisted in his hands and melted into dust. Ethan stumbled back in shock. Kale didn't even move. His power bent the air like heat. You threaten me with metal? My kind forged stars before your species learned to walk. Elara moved between them. Leave him, Kale. He saved me. Kale's voice hardened. He corrupted you. No, she said. He reminded me what life means. Kyle stepped closer, his presence filling the cave like gravity. You broke the law. You merged with a lower being. Now you must return to the core, or your energy will collapse and take him with you. Ethan frowned. What do you mean, collapse? Kale's cold eyes turned to him. Assimilation, human. Her light inside you is unstable. It's rewriting your cells. Soon you won't be human anymore. You'll become something that shouldn't exist. A half-formed echo. Ethan's chest tightened. You're lying. Elara's face said he wasn't. Tears filled her glowing eyes. It's true. My light wasn't meant to mix with human life. You're changing, Ethan. Because of me. He took her hand anyway. Then we'll face it together. Kale's voice thundered through the cave. You would die for her? Ethan looked straight at him. I already did once. When I jumped into that river. For a moment, Kale said nothing. Then a slow smile spread across his face, not kind, but proud. You have courage, human, but courage can't stop the core. He raised his hand. The walls of the cave began to shake. Rocks fell from the ceiling as a glowing symbol appeared in the air, a circle of blue fire that hummed with alien power. Elara gasped. Kale, no. That portal will destroy everything around it. It will cleanse this planet, he said coldly. And erase your mistake. Ethan grabbed her arm. We need to move. But the ground split open beneath them. Energy surged through the air. The cave walls cracked and beams of blue light shot into the sky. Ethan shielded Elara as debris rained down. The light burned his skin, but he didn't let go. How do we stop it? He shouted. Elara's voice was faint. The core inside him? It reacts to emotion, to heartbeats. If he feels anger, it grows stronger. We must calm him, or the portal will open fully. Ethan turned to Kale, shouting over the roar. Kale! You're doing what you accuse her of, acting from fear. Kale froze. His eyes flickered. You said the core protects life, Ethan continued, but you're destroying it. What kind of law kills its own blood? For a brief second, something human crossed Kyle's face. Guilt. His hand trembled. Elara stepped forward weakly. Brother, please. You were the one who taught me to dream. Kyle's voice broke. Dreams make us weak. No, she whispered. They make us alive. The glow around her body flared. The blue fire of the portal dimmed. Kyle looked down at his trembling hands, his expression torn between duty and love. Then, suddenly, a blinding pulse erupted from Ethan's chest. The mark that linked him to Elara began to shine like a small sun. Blue light spread from his body, wrapping around her, then reaching toward Kale. "What's happening?" Ethan shouted. Elara's eyes widened. "Our link, it's merging with his. The energy's connecting all three of us." Kale screamed as the light struck him. His armor cracked, revealing the same silver skin as Elara's. But his face twisted in agony. "No, the core will see this as treason." Ethan held Elara close as the light filled the cave. "Then maybe it's time someone broke their rules." Kale fell to his knees, the portal collapsing behind him. The storm outside faded, leaving silence, heavy and strange. When the light finally died, Kyle was gone. Only a faint blue mark burned on the cave floor, pulsing slowly like a heartbeat. Elara sank into Ethan's arms, exhausted. "You changed him," she whispered. "You changed everything." Ethan looked at the mark glowing beneath them. "Then we're just getting started." The storm had passed, but the sky didn't return to peace. It glowed, deep blue veins spreading across the clouds like cracks in the world itself. Something was coming. Ethan stood at the edge of the mountain, holding Elara close. She was weak now, her glow fading more each hour. The mark on his chest still pulsed with the same rhythm as her heart. They were connected, body, soul, and light. Below them, the land was silent. No birds, no wind. Even time seemed to wait. Elara opened her eyes slowly. "It's not over," she whispered. Kyle was only the beginning. The core knows everything now. They're sending the source. Ethan frowned. "What's the source?" She looked up at the sky. "The mind that controls my entire world." The core itself, when alive, conscious, eternal. "It will come through the breach Kale opened. And when it arrives, Earth will die." Ethan's stomach tightened. "Then we stop it," she smiled weakly. "No one stops the core, Ethan. It's the memory of billions and every voice of Vorin combined into one god." "Then we'll make it listen," he said. The ground trembled. A beam of blue light burst down from the clouds, striking the valley below. The air turned electric. Mountains shook. Rocks cracked like thunder, and from the beam, something began to form. A shape. A massive being made of pure light and energy, taller than any skyscraper. It didn't walk, it floated, its body shifting like water. Its face was 1,000 faces, flickering and changing every second. A voice filled the air, deep and calm, vibrating inside their heads. "Elara of Vorin, you broke the core's law. You polluted your essence. You will be erased." Ethan shouted. "She didn't break anything. She chose life." The voice ignored him. "The human speaks. His pattern is infected with Vorin code. Termination sequence initiated." A beam of light shot toward them. Ethan jumped in front of Elara, shielding her with his body. The blast struck him, but instead of killing him, the mark on his chest flared brightly and absorbed the attack. Elara gasped. "Ethan, your body..." He looked down. His veins glowed blue. His skin shimmered faintly. "I guess your light changed me more than we thought." The core's voice shook the mountains. "Hybrid anomaly detected. Unauthorized merge. Threat level, infinite." Ethan smiled grimly. "That's the nicest thing anyone said to me today." Elara stood beside him, her strength returning for a moment. "If the core destroys this planet, everything will end. We must reach its mind, show it what humanity feels." He nodded. "Then let's show it together." They held hands and stepped forward. The wind roared around them as they walked toward the beam of light. Every step felt heavier. The world flickered between Earth and Vorin, forests shifting into glowing crystal plains, rivers turning into liquid light. Ethan's voice echoed softly. "What happens if we reach it?" Elara's eyes shone. "Either we wake it, or we die inside it." He squeezed her hand tighter. "Then I'll take that risk." They entered the beam. The world vanished. They found themselves floating in an endless sea of light, billions of memories swirling around them. Voices whispered, crying, laughing, shouting. Elara looked around with tears in her eyes. "These are my people," she said. "Every soul ever born on Vorin." A great shadow appeared before them, the core's true form. It spoke not in words but in thoughts. "Why did you betray us, Elara?" She looked up bravely. "Because I learned something you never did, and that love is not weakness." The core's light rippled angrily. "Love destroys order." "Then maybe your order was never alive," Ethan said, his voice echoing through the void. "You built a perfect world but forgot how it feels to care." The core's massive shape paused. Its light flickered uncertainly. Elara stepped closer. Look into him, she said softly. See what humanity is. She placed her glowing hand over Ethan's heart. Their light merged, human red and alien blue blending into a brilliant white. The core shuddered. Images flooded its mind. Ethan's memories, his pain, his courage, his moments of kindness. The sound of laughter, the feeling of loss, the beauty of being imperfect. The core's voice broke for the first time. Such chaos, yet such meaning. The light around them began to shake violently. The structure of the core started collapsing, its energy bleeding into the void. Alara looked at Ethan with tears in her eyes. It's working, but it's killing us, he smiled. Then at least we're saving both worlds. She reached for his face, her touch soft. You were the light I was searching for. And you were the reason I started breathing again, he said. Their hands intertwined as the light swallowed them. From Earth, the sky exploded in a silent flash of white. The blue veins disappeared. The clouds cleared. The stars returned and I'm brighter than before. Days later, search teams found the destroyed valley. There was no ship, no beam, no sign of aliens. Only a single glowing flower blooming from the ashes, its petals silver and blue. Some said it was a strange plant. Others said it was a miracle. But those who touched it felt warmth, like a heartbeat. And if you listened closely, sometimes you could almost hear a whisper carried by the wind. We're still here.